Huh? 2 videos in a row on Tessera Plus on the same subject? Count your blessings, guys. I don't think this is gonna happen again. This is a 2024 Jetson Pixel, a hoverboard that literally looks like it was designed specifically for clickbait YouTube thumbnails and absolutely nothing else. And ironically enough, this isn't even the hoverboard that I was anticipating getting. I wanted to get a completely different one, but I went to Target and look at what they had. This was the only one they had, and it looks absolutely amazing, and I couldn't possibly leave the store without it. It's got LEDs inside the wheels. Huh? I kind of have to explain the big deal with hoverboards, and it all goes back to magical year 2017. All of us remember 2017. Everyone remembers 2017. If you don't remember fidget spinners and hoverboards, then I don't know what to tell you. This was one of those toy of the week items. You know those things where it's like everyone in the entire world has to have them and you absolutely gotta have it for literally no reason, just because everyone else has it, so you gotta have it, so you go to the store so you can have it, and then they're all sold out, so you go and find some guy on the side of the road who's suspiciously selling them for really cheap, so you just get one because, oh my god, you gotta fit it, and you get it, and then you're super happy about it, and then almost immediately after you get it, suddenly no one cares anymore. Yep. That was what the hoverboard was. We've seen it with hoverboards, fidget spinners, Stanley Cups, Among Us, Helldivers 2. Video games aren't even safe from this kind of nonsense. There are so many video games that I absolutely cannot stand that have just existed as those game of the week kind of things. And like, yeah, needless to say, people didn't really care about hoverboards for very long. Until they randomly started exploding for no reason. Then everyone cared about them again for a while, but then they still just kind of faded out of existence. And then they kind of resurged a little bit in 2020 because you remember the 2020 event. I don't need to explain that at all. People were mindlessly bored, so they went digging around in their basements for stuff to do and found that old dusty hoverboard from 2017 that didn't explode yet, and they decided, I guess I didn't give this thing as much of a chance as I should have, and then people were happy about it, and so they made a few videos on YouTube about it, and then there you go. But right now, people do not care about hoverboards, like, at all. You can go to Walmart or Target or wherever and just find them wholesale. There are so many different companies that make hoverboards now, and they just kind of exist as kind of electronic skateboards in a way. And really, I think that's where hoverboards are the best at, because it shouldn't be like a trendy item. It should be a thing that you can have fun with, like an electric skateboard. And I think that this is like the coolest version of an electric skateboard, but more on that later. The point is, why did I get this? I've always liked Segways, those big, bulky, 2-wheeled, self-balancing scooters with the big, chungus handle that sticks all the way up. They go super duper fast, like to the point where it's super dangerous to drive them around. You see security guards at malls driving them all over the place. They've got like all the armor all over them. They're super cool, like fun, like pedestrian-style vehicles. And you can't really buy those anywhere, but now you can get stuff like Segway 9 bots, and those are just, oh, chef's kiss. Those are super cool. And the hoverboard kind of tickled that side of interest that I had for that kind of self-balancing scooter, because really, all a hoverboard is one of those, except instead of having a stick with a handle on it that you use to steer what direction you're going in, it's divided into 2 halves, where if you lean both forward, you go forward, both back, you go in reverse, and in opposite directions to rotate. And it's way simpler. And it's way more interesting, and it's something you can get used to, and they're way smaller and more compact, and you can like take them anywhere, and that's kind of why hoverboards were so interesting, is because they were something completely new, completely different, and they had wheels instead of actually floating, which created a lot of memes on the internet. And I genuinely did want a hoverboard back when they first came out and were super popular, but we didn't get one because they started blowing up, and they were very dangerous, and even if they didn't blow up, there was always that expectation unexpected fear of falling off of it, which is understandable because if you lean at all, if your feet are not perfectly balanced, the thing goes whether you go with it or not. And you may have already noticed battle damage on the wheels. If you look here really closely, you can see an enormous mark going all the way across the wheel. And like it's denting into the side of the wheel. It's not even on that side only. Like if you look on the back down here, oh, that's battle damage. Just some more battle damage on this side. On this side, oh yeah. That's a scratch if I've ever seen one. Oh, that's a nice one. Oh, that looks great. That looks, oh yeah. It's not in very good shape, guys. And that is because as soon as I started trying to use it, the first thing that happened was I completely fell off of it. And it was in the most ridiculous way ever. I was in a parking lot and I was trying to balance. The thing was going back and forth and I kept overcorrecting and the thing went forward and I fell backwards and there's still kind of a square-shaped dent in my hand that just wanted to recorrect for some reason. And my elbow started bleeding and this thing took off and it just kept going. And it eventually started going in circles and it just wouldn't stop. It just kept going over and over and over again, and we had to try and stop it before it got any worse. It was absolutely hilarious, and me and my friend were laughing about it because why was it going so much? But still, the point still stands that you get one of these, you're gonna fall off of it. That's expected. You cannot possibly use one of these and never ever wipe out once. It's going to happen, and you gotta have the strength to get back up and get back on that damn hoverboard to try again. Because if you don't, you lose. If you do, you turn into me, and you eventually figure it out, and you win. After that one fall, I haven't fallen off of it since, and I've been testing this on extremely difficult to navigate ground. I'm talking my downstairs stone floor. None of the stones are even. They're all rocky and jagged. It's basically like walking outside on actual just rocks, and I can hoverboard across it. This isn't even an all-terrain one. This is like the crappiest city streets only, like super smooth pavement only style thing. And I figured it out. If I can do that, I can do it anywhere. So enough of my yapping. Let's take a look at this thing like a regular review, starting with the design. I like it and I really don't. I like the aesthetic here. It's all see-through. It's made out of this very solid, like, plexiglass, clear plastic, all like almost the entire thing is completely transparent with these big LED strips on either side. There's 4 of them across the inside of the hoverboard. You can see all of like the little mechanics and stuff going in there. I spot an XT60 in there. You know what that means? Nerf blasters! That's my Nerf head side still thinking. And on that side, you can kind of see there's a speaker in there. And yes, this does have a speaker inside of it. You can see the large kind of metal axle that is used to keep the two halves together in there, which it only tilts like that much. It doesn't tilt in either direction that much, so you can get pretty decent control out of it without going too out of whack. And then over here you've got the wheels, which have these big kind of plastic hubcaps on them that have the Jetson logo. And the wheels are kind of the worst part of the entire design. Not because they don't look good, but because white tires. Oh no. When you ride this thing around for any considerable amount of time, these tires look disgusting. Every tiny bit of dirt is amplified tenfold. And here's a video of me after cleaning one of the tires, but not touching the other one, just so you understand how much worse the tires can look when you ride it around, even for a little bit. And granted, I've been riding around like outside and in the dirt and stuff, so it's going to look really, really bad. But even then, that's only like 3 days of using the hoverboard before the tires looked that bad and needed a full deep clean to look even somewhat normal. But they are rubber tires. They have basically no traction to them at all. If you even crash into a tiny pebble, whatever tire crashes into it stops completely. And the hoverboard immediately just goes duh, and starts turning instead of going forwards. So this is everything except for all-terrain. If you try and use this on all-terrain, you won't survive it. Though I do really like these big kind of rubber grips that it has. I think they're styled really cool with this kind of really swishy pattern on them. And it says Jetson Jetson. It's the same kind of thing like what Nerf Mega did with the tiny Mega M style patterning inside of the grips to provide texture. You can see that's just a bunch of M's back and forth side by side, and it provides a really good texture while still being completely on brand and making perfect sense. I love details like that. So what happens when you turn it on? Well, you've got two big buttons. You got the power button here, and you got this little cap, which is where you charge it. And the cap, you literally just grab it and pull, and it just folds open, and then you got like a little 3-prong charging thing in there. It's a charger. It makes sense. It takes about 3 or 4 hours or so to charge fully from like 0% all the way up to 100%. It'll take about 5 hours, but if you just use it for a while and then plug it in, it shouldn't take that long to charge. And then when you turn it on, you push and hold it for a bit.
Power on.
It turns on and immediately... Yep, it turns on and immediately connects to itself and starts to balance itself. It kind of recorrects the second you turn it on, and I think that's pretty cool. And then you bear witness to the lights. I have dimmed the lights in this room so that you can see it better, and good heavens, the LEDs in this thing are bright, and they are very clickbaity. And you can see that, yes, it actually does have LEDs in the wheels, and the LEDs are in both. So you have lights in the wheels, and then these two big LED strips over here, and it just kind of flashes random rainbow colors. And then you can change the color just by pushing the power button once, and then it just defaults to one color, and then it goes to a second color. I like this one because it's kind of like this darker purple in the middle, and then this kind of hot pink on the edges. It's a very cool contrast that makes a lot of sense and looks very nice. And then you got blue, which is all blue. You got green, which is all green. And then it just goes back to this. For some reason, there's no yellow, which I don't really understand why. But if you noticed, it has a speaker inside of it, and it connects to your phone just as a Bluetooth speaker. So while you're riding around on this hilariously psychedelic looking hoverboard, you can also play hilariously psychedelic sounding music. One thing that it does do though that I don't understand and I don't really like is when you play music out of this, the lights kind of turn on and off, and they kind of try and sync to the music, so it kind of looks like it's dancing, I guess, but it's very distracting and it never works properly, and it's just kind of like this extra thing that makes it look like it's not really working properly. I would way prefer it to just stay on like this, so I don't usually connect it to my phone for Bluetooth. I mean, I do because it's funny, but I don't like unironically to use it. I usually do just when I'm in the room and I'm just screwing around with the hoverboard. And on that note, let's see how well it actually responds. Also, side note, Jetson's got an app and it's the most dysfunctional thing I've ever seen. I can't even connect it. I literally tried for forever to try and get this thing to connect, and it will not. It just won't connect. So, congratulations, Jetson. You absolutely failed at making an app, hey. But basically, yeah, you put your hand or foot on this, and then any tiny little movement causes it to start reacting. I mean, you don't have to push it far. You can't even notice that it's moving. It's just going. Except it's like trying to fight against you a bit. But you gotta control it. And it goes. It is very responsive, very reactive. And that's kind of where I wiped out, is because it's very, very easy to overcorrect yourself. And it gets worse, and then 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 by that point, you've crossed the point of no return and there's no salvaging it. So you really have to practice getting on this thing. And I don't know if all the hoverboards are like that, but this one is very difficult to get on. And I would argue that getting on and off of it is way harder than like trying to ride it in any capacity. You can see this now, as I just turned it on and I haven't touched it, it started a feedback loop. And it will keep going forever. I don't think it would ever stop until it ran out of batteries. But you kind of just gotta like line it up and then make it stop, and then even then it's starting again. But yeah, you basically just try and get on it. You try and keep one foot still long enough to get the other foot on. And then once you're on it and you are able to balance and stand up, then you're kind of on the hoverboard. And now you're just on it. And you kind of just got to get used to it. You just stand up and you go. And this is the hoverboard experience. You turn left, you turn right, and you go forwards and backwards, and that's what it does. And it can get going really, really fast, and I don't think it's ever a good idea to go that fast until you are very used to it, but the point is that this is what it does. It's not that interesting to watch, guys. As I mentioned a minute ago, it's like once you are on it, it's very easy. And it's literally just getting on it and getting used to it. It always takes a minute of just standing on it to get used to it again after you haven't used it for a little bit. I mean, even a few minutes of not using it is enough to forget, like, the muscle memory of just balancing perfectly on top of it. But once you do, then you lean to go. And then you're going. And it never stops, ever. 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 Doing 360s is pretty fun, but yep, I just tilt my toes forward and then I'm going. Or I just tilt, like, one going forward and one going backward, and I'm now perpetually doing 360s. And doing 360s is fun and silly and very easy and very entertaining, and it's a good way to try and practice balancing in one spot. Another good way to practice using it is just to try and stand as still as possible without moving too much. The stiller you can stand, the better you are at using the hoverboard. So as you use it more, eventually you should be able to stand perfectly and completely still. I haven't reached that point yet, but I'm getting there. Though one very concerning and weird thing is the fact that when you stand on it, it creaks a lot. And you probably heard that during the last couple shots of me standing on it and riding it around, that it is not very sound. It creaks tremendously. And I don't know if I should be concerned or not. I'm not yet, because nothing bad has happened and it works perfectly fine, but is definitely worth noting. But yeah, 8 years after hoverboards were interesting and a thing and everyone cared about them, and now 8 years later when no one gives a crap about them at all, I finally bought a hoverboard, and my experience with it has been very fun, very entertaining, and I really, really do like it. I totally dig this thing. It's super unconventional. It's not like a bicycle or a scooter at all. It's kind of like an electric skateboard, but it's different. It's different, it's fun, it's interesting, and it's cool, and I finally understand why it's called a hoverboard. It's not because it floats, it's because it makes you feel like you are floating and levitating like a ghost.